What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the FoxieMooseShow, Show, episode 14, part 2. Sorry for being kind of late. I wanted to put this out last week, but I've been recording it and I really felt that it was so roundabouty and kind of boring. So I've been trying to record it for you guys. So I'm just going to upload it today, whatever this turns out like, and try to get this out for you guys. And I also want to get out a Dawnbringer ribbon video today, this week. That way, I know one of my someone suggested it in the comment section, so I want to analyze that for them and see how that turns out. All right, so let's get on. I'm your host, Tyre Godet, aka FoxieMoose, and I'm here to analyze your favorite video game characters and skins. For those who are new here, I'm a character concept artist that enjoys helping people learn while inspiring creativity in others. So today we're going to be diving back into the Lunar Eclipse Leona, or the Eclipse Leona skin. This time on the lunar side, because last week we did the solar side. So let's go ahead and break this down. I'm trying out a new recording strategy, mainly on my note side. So you guys might not notice it, but I'm trying to keep each section down to about 5 minutes. That way we don't really run too far ahead. All right, so let me go ahead and start my timer here. Oh, and just before we begin, we're running off of the same concept of last week, where we're not really working with a story for the skin. We're working off of keywords, just because I personally feel that working off of keywords for a character skin is it's a lot less complex, and it simplifies the entire process. So the keywords here are going to be Eclipse, obviously, and Lunar. And then the champion obviously is Leona. All right, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Let me start my timer here. All right, so let's see how this goes. I haven't worked with the timer before, but let's get right in. Where's my pin? Okay, so let's make this new layer here. We're gonna start with the front and the back. Obviously, let me let me switch my screen. I'm so sorry. All right, let's go with the front and the backs. I'm gonna use a blue here, nice color. Get my brush, and let's dig right in. All right, so let's start over here on the back. So what I want to start with are the shapes. I want to see what shapes are being repeated, what kind of lines are being formed. It's very similar to the, it's very similar to the previous Leona skin, or the solar version. You can see that there's going to be these kind of round shapes, there's going to be points, and there's going to be some circular motifs in here. So we're just going to go ahead and try to pick out some shapes really fast. So we have this coming on in here, which is kind of like a point. It's like a rounded, almost like a claw almost. That kind of makes that shape. Don't get confused when you're doing your own studies, and I highly recommend you to do your own studies. Go in and break stuff down. Don't go in and say, okay, this kind of comes in like this and makes a new shape. You kind of want to focus on the silhouette at first. Like, you want to start with the big shapes and then go into the smaller ones, which we'll get into in a few minutes here. But we want to go back in and find these repeating shapes that are being shown throughout the character. So we have these rounded shapes and we have these pointy shapes. And what this helps to show is that this character has some kind of, obviously she has armor, but the shape of the armor helps to show that she's kind of like there to protect. So circles are really good for showing that off, while points are there to show that she may be like kind of agile, or she may be kind of aggressive, or she may be kind of like, different. She may be like out there. She may not like being she may not like being, maybe she's really aggressive towards the enemy faction or whatever the case. All right, so that's what those points help to do. They help to show danger. Let's go ahead and see what this shape is. This shape is basically kind of like a rectangle, but you can kind of like almost round it out. You can kind of make that rounded shape. So we're going to do that, and then this kind of curves back like this. I really like this shape where it curves. Like, you have this curve, and then you have this side over here being pushed, being kind of curved a little bit. I really like that, me personally. You're always going to find different shapes. You're always going to see different things. You're going to find the things that you're attracted to. So if you see those things, really try to identify them. That way you can put it into your own work. All right, so we have these kind of sword shapes. This reminds me of Irelia. Like, her skirt looks like swords. They look like Irelia's swords. All right, so we're going to bring that in like that. All right, and I'm just trying to get through this, so I'm not boring you guys. Let me know if you guys like this type of video or not. I really want to make the best content for you guys, so you guys can learn and hopefully learn right with me, because I'm learning as we go. You know, it's said that teaching helps you. Teaching basically, like, if you teach somebody else, it teaches you. It's teaching yourself again. There we go. I got it out. Yeah. So if you really, so I'm doing it because I really want to show and see for myself how much I actually do know about the subject, because I've done it for quite a while now. I feel like I can actually give some knowledgeable information here. All right, so before we skip past this, you can see that there's a bit of a circle area right here by her butt. That's a circle. All right, and then you have more triangles coming in down like so. Coming in down like that, boop. And then you come in, and then you have this kind of like diamond shape. Now we want to look at the, I mean, we can look at the sword and stuff, but that's not what we're really focused on. That's where most of the circle motifs are. They're going to be like in the sword right there in the middle. You have this kind of point at the top of the that, kind of like repeating that roundness, that circle, right? And then you have these points on the edges. You have this repeating again. Again, that's this thing right here at the top of her head, coming in like that. And then you kind of come down, and you just keep repeating those shapes. That's what shape language is all about. Is telling a story with your shapes. Why does this character have points? Why does this character have round shapes? All of that helps to tell a story. Why does this curve come out to a point? It helps to show that it's dangerous. It helps to show that it's a weapon. So this comes in like this, and you can see that there's asymmetry here, where the sword kind of is longer on one side than the other. That just helps to show interest. That's all that really is. It just helps to keep the design from being boring. And you can see that I like how the Eclipse kind of has this kind of edgy feel to it, even with the colors. And I feel that way because I feel like in the solar Eclipse, she's more like your average Leona. She's more like the Leona we all know and love. So that means all of her clothing and costuming is very symmetrical. There's not much difference. There's not real asymmetry going on. So here in this sword, you can see that they actually break that rule and create that asymmetry going in there. All right, and the front is basically, you can do the front the same. You can see that there's a circle here, like a circle shape in the middle with like points on it, very similar to what's on her sword. All right, you go in, you do that, boom, boom. You can see that even her like little braids are kind of like circular, so that's actually something to catch. And then she has this kind of diamond shape going on, which you can see is repeated back here in the back, and it's also repeated right here. So that's all you're really looking for when you're doing something like this, is you're looking for those repeating shapes. Let's see where our time is at. All right, so let's move on. That should be enough to get the point across. Let's move on to the next section, which is going to be size variation. Now, let's go ahead and just delete this here. All right, let's go ahead and delete this. Restart this timer. Whoops. Okay. So with size variation, it's very complex, but it's very simple at the same time. What this is the easiest way to think about how I learned about it is to think about the large, medium, small technique, which is taught to me by Keenan Lafferty. Well, he teaches it in all of his videos. It's a very, very important concept to know as a designer. But essentially, you have a small section, you have a large section, and you have a medium section. What this does is it balances out a design, as opposed to having something like this where everything is going to be the same. You have this section and you have this section. That's really boring. That's extremely boring. But compared to this, where it's like, okay, you have this kind of large area here, and then you have this small area, and then you have this kind of medium area. Like you don't want to have sameness. You want to avoid sameness. And the way I like to think about it personally is with a technique called size variation. It's not really a technique, it's a mindset. Size variation basically says you want to have an area of rest, and you want to have an area of detail. Basically, it's just something to help you remember that you don't want to have sameness. So, for example, if I was thinking about size variation, I would say I want this area, I want this area up here to be small, and then I want this large area to be rest. And that is a stylistic preference. You can do the large, medium, small thing. Riot does quite a bit of it. It just all comes down to personal preference. Okay, let's go ahead and add and do it practically and see what's going on here. Let's go with an easier piece here, because this in the middle is very, very complex. Let's break down the cloth, right? So this is here. We have this cloth come down like that, boom, boom, boom. All right, boom. So we have the cloth, and this is this is a large shape. I'm starting with the large shape. So you can see that this large shape is pretty much, if we're just working, we're specifically focusing on the cloth. All right, we already have this metal piece here cut out for us. So we're just focusing on the cloth. So we already, like we said, we already have this shape made out for us. We have this kind of like weird pointed shape. Now what we want to do is we want to break it down to the point where we can create some kind of interest going into it, because we don't want large empty area. You don't want large empty areas just like this. That's boring. That's not interesting. What you want to do is you want to figure out what little sections you can add details to create that interest. So thinking with the size variation method or mindset, I'm going in and I'm like, okay, so what did they do? They added these little trims on the side. They added these small trims on the side here. That helps to create interest. It's like, okay, now there's like something else to look at. There's some little extra stuff on the outside. And then what they did again was so now we're left with, we have a large area and we have a small area. So what they went ahead and did, they broke down the large area a bit more, and they said, okay, let's see what else we can do since that area is still kind of big. So they just went in and added kind of like that kind of this rectangle shape in there. And what that did was it made this area right here. Let me get a different color to show you this. Let's get a red. They made this area right here smaller than this area here. So, and it's very confusing. Like I said, it's a very, very confusing topic. But just try to keep it as simple as possible, because you will get confused with this like learning design, especially for the first time. Because one thing I struggled with for a long time was like, okay, is this section considered a small part or a large part just because of its length, And I realized that I was overthinking it, So you just want to say, okay, obviously you want to constrain it to either a width or a height. So in this case, all of the widths, so from here to here, from here to here, from here to here, from here to here, and from here to here, those help to show. That's what I'm looking at specifically. I'm looking at the widths. I'm not looking at the height of things and how like the diagonal length or whatever. I'm looking at how wide something is compared to the other things around it. So obviously this thing in the middle can be considered a large area. This thing here and even down here can be considered a medium area. And then obviously the small part is where it's the thinnest. So you basically want to set your own restrictions when you're designing. You want to be able to actually think about that type of stuff. That's the thing. That's the type of things I want you guys to start thinking about and looking at if you're trying to break down designs on your own. All right, boom. That was right in 5 minutes. We did that perfectly. All right, let's move on to the final thing and wrap up this video. So we're going to move on to the end game view. I have some here. All right, let's zoom out here. All right, so what I'm going to do in this section is I just want to show you how those shapes would work in from an end game perspective, from that top-down general MOBA perspective. And even these are kind of bad examples. Not really bad, but they could be better because you're not going to play this close to your character. You're going to be zoomed out even further, which emphasizes those shapes. You really need to be able to see those shapes from a distance. It's really cool if you can design a character from up close, but if you're not even going to see what the character's chest looks like, it doesn't matter if you design this awesome like armor plating. All you're going to see is the shape of it. So that's why making really cool shapes is so important. Like for example, the shape of the shield. Let's go ahead and make a new layer here. The shape of this shield is extremely important. Let's go ahead and start the timer before we forget. All right, so the shape of the shield, for example, is a good example of that. You can see that it kind of has this. I'm gonna draw the general shape. It has this kind of like diamond-esque shape to it. You know, it's like, okay, does that read as a shield from far away? And that's an important part of designing for anything really. Not just video games, just designing in general. You want to be able to see if it reads in the scenario that it's meant to be in. So you want to see that all of these spikes are going to show in the game. You know, so this little circular thing here isn't going to show in the game unless you're using values how they're using it. So this middle section is going to be lighter, and it even draws attention to it because it has this completely black zone with this super white, super contrasting white color on the outside, and that just automatically draws your attention to it. But if this character was blacked out and you were just in game, you wouldn't really see this if there was no light on it. Okay. So the silhouette from in-game perspective is one of the most important things if you take anything out of this. All right. So now another thing, we can see that these little her skirt from the back, it shows. You know, that's going to show in the game because they're separated from the character. They're not on top of the character. If you ever taken any animation classes, they always tell you to pose your characters, not like, you don't want to make like a bunch, you don't want to make your character kind of like this. Like, you don't want them to be like that. You want them to be like, if someone was like standing there and they had their arms crossed or something, or if they had their arms out, you want to show that they're like this. Like, you want to see those arms, you want to see what they're doing. You know, you should be able to tell what a character is doing. This is horrible, but you should be able to tell what a character is doing from the silhouette. So, you know, maybe she's like, I'm assuming this is a girl and her hands are like down here and she's like, she has her head tilted kind of like this. And she's just like, you know, doing a little kick pose thing or whatever. That's a lot easier to see than, you know, it being on top of everything. If that made any sense at all to you guys. But yeah, that's the gist of the silhouette. So the sword, for example, here, the silhouette, you want to see this kind of pointy shape coming out, and then you want to see this shape coming in, and then going back in, and then you want to really see that asymmetry coming along right here at the tip of the sword. You know, this is all stuff that has to be well thought out, so it can actually be it can be seen in the game. All right. And even this spike here, these spikes, at least one of them is always going to be seen from any perspective. All right. So obviously the ones here get kind of like blended in with the silhouette, but when you come to this angle, when you come from the front angle, you can see it right there on that. You can see it sticking out of the silhouette. Again, you can see this shape of the sword sticking out of the silhouette, and you can see that asymmetry on this side as well. You know, you always want to consider the angle that the character is going to be seen in. And again, as opposed to seeing this shield right here, now you're seeing this. You're seeing that kind of same motif. You're seeing it right there from the front view because you're not seeing the shields from this view. You're not focusing on anything, like you're not focusing on the character, or you're not focusing on the shield anymore. How am I saying this? From the back, you obviously can't see the character's face, so that's not going to be the focal point. The focal point is usually always the face. If you can't see the face, you make the focal points like the weapon or something else that's a bit dangerous. So in this case, from the back, you see the weapons. From the front, you want everything to point towards this section. That's why even the values here, I always talk about the values. The values are darker down here than they are up here on the head, because you always want that contrast. You can even see that her hair is a brighter value than anything else on her. because you want even her face is like the same value as her hair, because you want her face to stand out. You want the players to see the character's face and recognize kind of who it is by the silhouette, by the values, and etc. etc. All right, so that's the importance of in-game view, and that's gonna wrap up this video. Me personally, I think I kind of like this timer session, because I feel like it helps me keep focus. I know I usually go on a lot of tangents, but this helps me stay a bit focused. So let me know what you guys think about this new video structure in the comments below, and that's going to be the end of today's show. All right, so I really appreciate you guys watching and coming through every week and checking out the videos. I'm hoping I'm entertaining you guys, hoping I'm teaching you something new. If there's anything that you would like to say to me, or if you would like one of your video game characters or a skin analyzed, please just leave a comment below. Like I said, next week, or not next week, in the next few days, I'm going to be uploading a video talking about Dawnbringer Riven, as per request in the comments on my last video. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can see when I do upload that video. If you didn't like the video, then you can always hit the dislike button too, but please, man, why, man? Why, dog? Please don't do that. Anyway, I have no idea what the hell that was. Anyway, I'm going to sign off. I'll catch you guys later. If you would like to join my Discord server where you can, I'm trying to build up a community so we can actually post more art and just have discussions about character design, feel free to join my Discord. I will leave a link in the description below. And if you would like to donate to me, I do have a Ko-fi page available that you can go to and just donate a few extra dollars if you have it. You don't have to. It's just nice. It helps. I know some YouTubers say like it helps them eat, but I'm not gonna try to force you to do it. Just do it if you would like to support me. I would really appreciate it, and it'll help me put out more videos for you guys. All right, so I'm gonna catch you guys later. FoxieMoose signing off. Oh, that was so lame. I'm never doing that again. All right, I'll catch you guys later. See ya.